My sister laughed and said, "Maybe dying will finally make you interesting." So I shut down the credit cards, turned off their utilities, and let the foreclosure process continue. While I was in the ICU fighting for my life, my family vacationed in Hawaii and posted beach photos. Mom texted, "Stop being dramatic. We'll come when you pay for our trip." Isabella added, "Maybe dying will finally make you interesting." I saved the screenshots. A week later, they were met with canceled credit cards, disconnected services, and foreclosure notices. That's when the constant calls began, hours of begging. The only steady sound in the sterile ICU room was the heart monitor. My pneumonia had rapidly turned into sepsis, catching everyone off guard. At 26, I was surrounded by medical equipment, struggling to stay alive. The doctors warned me that the first 72 hours were critical. I contacted my family as soon as I arrived at the hospital. They lived only 2 hours away. I assumed they would rush to see me, but instead, I received a message from Mom. "Sorry, honey, we're at the airport. The Hawaii trip is already paid for. We'll see you when we're back." This was the first I'd heard about any trip. As the days passed, my phone became a window into their vacation. Isabella posted beach videos, resort meals, and sunset photos. Mom uploaded images of herself in a new swimsuit captioned, "Living my best life at 52." Dad shared golf selfies with hashtags like vacation vibes. None of them mentioned that their daughter was in critical condition. On the third day, after my fever finally lowered, I sent a grief message. "Hey, I'm stable but still really sick. The doctors say I'll be here for at least another week. Can someone please come? I'm scared and alone." An hour later, Mom replied, "Stop being dramatic, Clara. If you're texting, you're fine. We'll come when you pay for our tickets home and reimburse our lost vacation time." I reread the message multiple times to make sure I wasn't misreading it. Isabella's response was worse. "LOL, Mom is right. You always want attention. Maybe dying would finally make you interesting." She added a smiley emoji. I saved the messages. In that moment, something shifted inside me. It wasn't a breakdown. It was clarity. My family had always treated me like their personal bank. I was the responsible one. Full scholarships, 2 jobs, early success in tech, and at 26, earning a 6-figure salary as a senior software engineer. Meanwhile, Isabella dropped out of community college to pursue social media influencing with 847 followers. My parents retired early at 52 and 54, relying partly on their savings, but increasingly on me. For 2 years, I had paid their mortgage. When Dad's 401k dropped, I covered Isabella's car payments and insurance. I gave Mom $15,000 for an emergency cosmetic procedure. I funded family trips, holidays, and even groceries whenever they claimed to struggle. And now, they were enjoying a Hawaii vacation I unknowingly paid for. Telling me to stop being dramatic while I was nearly dying alone. The next 3 days in the hospital gave me plenty of time to think and act. With my laptop, I could access all my accounts. First, I stopped all automatic transfers to my parents. I canceled the mortgage payment due on the 15th, ended Dad's car payment, and shut down the emergency credit card they used for everyday purchases. Then, I called my investment advisor, Luna, who had managed my portfolio for 5 years. "Clara, how are you feeling? I heard you were in the hospital." "Much better. Thanks, Luna. I need to update my accounts. I want to remove my parents and sister as beneficiaries and emergency contacts." She hesitated. "Are you sure you want to do this while you're still recovering?" "I'm completely sure." Next, I contacted my lawyer, Tom, who had drafted my will and power of attorney documents. "Tom, I need to revoke the power of attorney I gave my parents and rewrite my entire will." "That's a major change, Clara. Can I ask what happened?" I explained everything. He stayed silent for a long moment, then said, "I'll draft the new documents immediately. I'm sorry your family didn't support you." But I wasn't done. My family had no idea how much authority I had over their finances. I had co-signed loans, opened shared credit lines, and even helped them buy their home by acting as a co-borrower. Over the next 2 days, I carefully removed every financial support I had set up for them. The utilities in my name were canceled. Their phone plan under my account was shut down. The car insurance I paid for was terminated immediately. The house was the biggest issue. Since I was on the mortgage, I could demand they refinance or pay the remaining balance. I contacted the bank and requested removal from the loan. If my parents couldn't qualify or pay off the balance, they would have to sell. The bank was cooperative, especially after I mentioned recovering from a serious illness. Meanwhile, their Hawaii posts continued. Isabella uploaded a video enjoying a couple's massage with someone she met at the resort. Mom shared photos of luxury dinners and shopping. Dad posted more golf pictures, all while I recovered alone. On day 7, I was discharged. I had lost 15 pounds and felt extremely weak, but I was alive. I returned to my quiet apartment, ordered soup, and waited. The first call came at 6:47 p.m. "Clara," Mom said in a panic, "there's something wrong with our credit card. It got declined at dinner." "That's strange," I said. "Maybe call the bank." "We did. They said the account was closed. Did you close our card? I reported it stolen while I was in the ICU and you were posting vacation pictures. It seemed someone else was using it." Silence. Then she snapped, "Clara Elise Carter, reopen that card right now. We're stuck in Hawaii with no money. I thought you paid for the vacation yourselves. That's what you said." I hung up. 10 minutes later, Isabella called, shouting, "You psycho! You stranded us! The hotel wants payment for another night." "Maybe ask your new boyfriend," I replied, "the one from the couple's massage." "You're stalking our social media. I was watching you enjoy yourselves while I was nearly dying. There's a difference." She hung up. Dad called next, calmer. "Clara, there's been a misunderstanding. We'll explain when we get home. Can you restore our card so we can book flights?" "No misunderstanding. You picked a trip over your daughter. That was your choice." They kept calling throughout the night, each call more desperate. I turned off my phone and slept better than I had in years. They eventually made it home. Isabella borrowed money from her Instagram boyfriend, and my parents used an old credit card they still had. Then things escalated. Mom called at 7 a.m. the next morning. "Clara, the power and gas have been shut off." I canceled the utilities that were in my name. "You're adults. You can open your own accounts. With what money? You canceled everything." Figure it out. 3 days later, the foreclosure notice arrived. That's when the real pleading began. Isabella showed up at my apartment, crying. "Clara, I'm so sorry. I was drunk when I wrote that text. I didn't mean it." "Which text? The one where you said maybe dying would make me interesting?" "I was joking. You know I joke like that. Leave my property." Mom came next, performing her usual guilt routine and claiming she acted out of fear. I asked why she had posted dozens of vacation photos while I was in the ICU. We were just trying to stay positive. Get out. Dad tried a more practical approach. He brought paperwork showing the consequences of losing their home and begged me to reconsider. You should have thought about that before telling me to pay for your return flight while I was fighting for my life, I said. But we're family. No, family supports each other. Family doesn't mock their daughter for almost dying. The calls became constant, 20 to 30 per day. When I blocked their numbers, they used friends' phones, payphones, and even the hotel landline after losing their home. Each call came with a new tactic: anger, bargaining, manipulation, threats, or accusing me of destroying the family. I asked why she had posted dozens of vacation photos while I was in the ICU. We were just trying to stay positive. Get out. Dad tried a more practical approach. He brought paperwork showing the consequences of losing their home and begged me to reconsider. You should have thought about that before telling me to pay for your return flight while I was fighting for my life, I said. But we're family. No, family supports each other. Family doesn't mock their daughter for almost dying. The calls became constant, 20 to 30 per day. When I blocked their numbers, they used friends' phones, payphones, and even the hotel landline after losing their home. Each call came with a new tactic: anger, bargaining, manipulation, threats, or accusing me of destroying the family. I asked why she had posted dozens of vacation photos while I was in the ICU. We were just trying to stay positive. Get out. Dad tried a more practical approach. He brought paperwork showing the consequences of losing their home and begged me to reconsider. You should have thought about that before telling me to pay for your return flight while I was fighting for my life, I said. But we're family. No, family supports each other. Family doesn't mock their daughter for almost dying. The calls became constant, 20 to 30 per day. When I blocked their numbers, they used friends' phones, payphones, and even the hotel landline after losing their home. Each call came with a new tactic: anger, bargaining, manipulation, threats, or accusing me of destroying the family. You already destroyed it, I told my mother during a particularly discouraging phone conversation after they lost their home. I just stopped pretending otherwise. One of the weakest attempts at reconciliation came from Isabella's friend Rachel, who called claiming she was doing a survey on family relationships. After 20 minutes of rehearsed questions, she slipped. So, hypothetically, if your sister was truly sorry and wrote you a letter explaining everything, would you consider? Rachel, tell Isabella the answer is no, I replied, and let her know using you as a messenger is exactly the kind of manipulation that caused this. Then came an attempted confrontation at my workplace. My mother and father showed up at my office building, talked their way past security, and cornered me in the lobby as I was leaving for lunch. Clara, please, just 5 minutes, my father pleaded, looking worn out and anxious. My mother stood behind him with a tissue, trying to appear sympathetic. Security, I said to the guard who had let them in. These people are harassing me. Please escort them out. Clara, my mother shouted as security approached. I'm your mother. You can't ignore your family. Watch me, I responded, walking past without looking back. The security footage eventually circulated around the office, surprising my coworkers and earning me some quiet respect. The day my parents attempted an intervention in the company lobby and were removed by security became a minor office legend. One of the most desperate moves happened when they tried to use my hospitalization against me. Isabella posted a long Instagram story claiming I was mentally unstable after my illness, saying my behavior was a cry for help and that I needed a family intervention. The plan backfired. Several friends commented publicly, sharing how they had visited me during my hospital stay, brought me food and saw firsthand how alone I was while my family posted vacation photos. Isabella's followers connected the dots, and the comment section exploded with criticism. She deleted the post within hours, but I had already saved screenshots. Financial pressure was also catching up with them. A friend, Sebastian, told me my father tried to get a loan using my old contact information as a reference. When the bank called me to verify, I was straightforward. Mr. Carter is unemployed and recently lost his home to foreclosure. He has no stable income I'm aware of, and I cannot recommend extending him credit. Thank you for your honesty, Miss Carter. The loan officer replied. May I ask your relationship to the applicant? He's my estranged father, I said. The loan was declined. Around this time, I learned my mother had been telling people I was financially abusing elderly parents to make herself seem like the victim. She even filed a report with Adult Protective Services, claiming I had taken their savings and left them without support. The social worker who contacted me was professional but clearly skeptical. Miss Carter, we received a complaint that you financially exploited your parents. Can you explain the situation? I invited her to my home office, and we spent 2 hours reviewing every financial record, screenshot, and piece of evidence. I showed her the Hawaii texts, social media posts, and a timeline of events. So let me confirm, she said, reviewing her notes. Your parents voluntarily put you on their accounts. You helped them financially for years, and when they chose a vacation over visiting you in the ICU, you ended your support. That's correct. And they're claiming this is elder abuse? Apparently. She closed her notebook and looked directly at me. Miss Carter, this is not elder abuse. It's boundary setting. Adult children are not legally required to financially support capable parents who simply choose not to work. I'll be closing the complaint as unfounded. As she left, she paused. For what it's worth, I'm sorry your family did this. Their behavior while you were hospitalized was unacceptable. The failed APS report seemed to push my mother further into instability. Her calls became scattered and filled with accusations that I was turning people against them and running some kind of campaign to ruin their lives. You think you're so clever, she yelled in a late-night call that woke me up. But karma is coming for you, Clara. You can't treat family this way and walk away. Karma already came, Mom, I replied. It came in the form of a daughter who finally recognized her own value. The breaking point came when they tried involving Tom's family. My mother found Carol's Facebook profile and sent her a long message filled with lies about my mental health and personality. Carol sent it to me immediately. It was 3 pages of false claims, saying I had always been difficult, that my illness made me paranoid and vindictive, and that I was isolating myself from a family that only wanted to help. That evening, Carol called me. Honey, none of us believe a word of this, but you should know she's actively trying to damage your relationships. That was the moment I decided on legal action. I spoke to Tom about filing a restraining order for harassment, stalking, interference with my employment, and defamation. You have grounds for multiple claims, Tom said. Are you sure you want to proceed? It will make everything public. I'm sure, I said. They've crossed every boundary. It's time for legal consequences. The hearing for the restraining order was scheduled for Thursday morning. The hearing for the restraining order was scheduled for Thursday morning. All three of them arrived dressed formally, clearly thinking they could talk their way out of it. The judge listened to their story first, a carefully crafted account of a daughter who supposedly had a breakdown after a minor illness and was now retaliating because they couldn't afford to visit her in the hospital. Then I presented my evidence: Hawaii screenshots, the harsh messages, documentation of harassment, the workplace confrontation, the false APS report, and their attempts to undermine my relationships. Your Honor, I said in my prepared statement, these individuals didn't just ignore me when I was seriously ill. They mocked me. When I ended my financial support, they spent months harassing me, lying about me, and trying to damage my career and personal relationships. I'm requesting protection from people who see me only as a source of money and are willing to harm me when that money is no longer there, available. The judge issued a temporary restraining order immediately and scheduled a hearing for a permanent injunction. As we left the courtroom, my mother made one more attempt. Clara, please, we can solve this as a family. You don't need lawyers. You made lawyers necessary when you chose harassment instead of responsibility, I responded. 3 weeks later, the permanent restraining order was granted. They were barred from contacting me directly or indirectly, prohibited from approaching within 500 feet of my home or workplace, and forbidden from posting about me online. Violations would result in immediate arrest. The quiet that followed was a relief. Then things took an unexpected turn. About 3 months after the Hawaii incident, I received a call from my supervisor, Mark. Clara, I know you're still recovering and working remotely, but we have a situation. Technova Industries, the client you handled last year, they want to hire you. Technova offered me a VP position with nearly double my current pay, full benefits, stock options, and the chance to build their cybersecurity division from the ground up. They specifically asked for you, Mark added. The system you designed saved them from a major breach last month. They say you saved them millions. I accepted the offer. Ironically, the timing aligned with my family's increasing desperation. While I was finalizing a contract for a high-paying VP role, they were being evicted from their motel for non-payment. Isabella called me from a payphone, sobbing. Clara, please, we're homeless. We're sleeping in Dad's car. Mom's blood pressure medication ran out and we can't afford more. Have you thought about getting a job? I asked, calmly, while reviewing my contract. I have a job. I work at Target now. 20 hours a week at Target isn't a career, Bella. And what about Mom and Dad? Dad's applying for jobs, but no one wants someone his age. And Mom is too stressed to work. Too stressed to work, I said, but not too stressed to post Facebook rants about what a terrible daughter I am. The line went silent. They didn't realize I could still see Mom's public posts. That's different, Bella insisted. She's just venting because she's upset. She's spreading lies about me online while claiming she's too stressed to work, I said. The story doesn't add up, Bella. My first day at Technova was everything I hoped it would be. I had a corner office, a team of 12 talented engineers, and a budget that seemed unreal. During my welcome lunch, the CEO personally thanked me for the work I'd done as a contractor. Clara, he said, your security protocols didn't just save us money, they saved jobs. When hackers tried to break in last month, your system held. Without it, we could have lost client data, faced lawsuits, maybe even closed our doors. You literally protected this company. Later that afternoon, a Tech Weekly reporter messaged me on LinkedIn asking for an interview about cybersecurity trend. My achievements were starting to stand out in ways that never would have happened if I'd kept enabling my family's demands. Meanwhile, Mom had launched a GoFundMe titled, "Help a Family Destroyed by Their Daughter's Mental Illness." She painted me as unstable, claiming I had a breakdown after being hospitalized and then abandoned a loving family. What she didn't expect was that many tech professionals recognized my name. Some knew me personally, others had worked with me indirectly. They began sharing the campaign in industry Slack channels, not to ridicule me, but to call out what she was doing. Within 48 hours, the page was filled with comments from coworkers, former clients, and colleagues who defended me. Clara Carter is one of the most professional engineers I've worked with. This campaign is disgusting. Senior developer, Microsoft. I've done 3 major projects with Clara. She's brilliant and nothing like what's described here. This is clearly a scam. CTO, startup. Clara saved our company from a major attack. Her family should be proud, not exploiting her. CEO, data secure. The comments section became a public record of my reputation. Mom deleted the GoFundMe after a week, but not before countless people took screenshots and posted it across forums as an example of family manipulation. By my 6th month at Technova, I was surpassing my expectations. I had built security systems for 3 major companies, spoken at 2 conferences, and been featured in a Forbes profile on women advancing cybersecurity. The article included a photo of me in my office, confident and focused, with a caption noting my promotion to vice president and my innovative work in corporate security. After the piece was published, Dad called me from another unknown number. "Clara, I saw the article. I'm proud of you. Are you calling to congratulate me or to ask for money?" I asked. A long pause. "We're really struggling. Just a small loan so we can get stable again." There it was. I hung up. The contrast wasn't lost on me. As my career advanced, their situation continued to fall apart. It felt like 2 trains heading in opposite directions, one toward progress, the other toward collapse. My personal life was improving too. Without the constant pressure of supporting my family, I had energy for friends, hobbies, and dating. I joined a hiking group and made new friends. I took cooking classes and realized I enjoyed hosting dinners. When Tom and I became serious, I told him the truth about my family early on. I expected it to scare him away. Most people can't imagine cutting off biological family entirely. Instead, he listened to everything and said, "Clara, what you did took strength. Many people stay trapped in toxic families because they can't picture another way. Choosing yourself isn't selfish, it's healthy." His family was just as supportive. When I nervously explained why my parents wouldn't be attending family events, Carol simply said, "Their loss is our gain. We're happy to have you." The difference was striking. Tom's family included me in everything. Holiday plans, family photos, even group arguments about vacation spots. They treated me like I belonged. My old family treated me like a debit card. Around this time, I began hearing updates about my biological family's situation. Sebastian occasionally called, believing I deserved to know how things were unfolding. "Bella got fired from Target," he said once. "Too many late arrivals and attitude issues. She's trying to restart her influencer career, but she only has about 200 followers left. Most people unfollowed after she posted those lies about you." "And my parents?" I asked. "Your dad has a part-time job at Home Depot. Your mom works part-time at a call center. They're sharing a studio and arguing about money constantly." I felt nothing hearing it. Not satisfaction, not guilt, just detachment. They were people I used to know who made choices, and now they lived with the consequences. The most revealing update came a year later. Sebastian called to tell me Mom had been arrested for shoplifting makeup and expensive cheese. She had a full meltdown, he said, screaming about how you ruined her life and forced her into this. Did she mention she was vacationing in Hawaii while I was in the ICU? I asked. Actually, yes. She said you were being dramatic about being sick, which is why they went. The store manager's daughter had recently been in an ICU herself, so he wasn't sympathetic. The charges were dropped eventually, but the incident made local news. Local woman blames daughter for shoplifting arrest. I didn't read the article. The headline was enough. Even facing legal trouble, Mom kept playing the victim, refusing accountability. Within 6 months, I was earning more than I'd ever imagined. I bought a beautiful home in the hills with a view of the city, adopted a golden retriever named Mochi, and finally started living for myself instead of for people who saw me only as income. And I was genuinely happy. The constant stress, the financial demands, the guilt, gone. For the first time in years, I felt like myself again. I also started dating Tom, the lawyer who had helped me redo my will. Once I was fully recovered, he asked me out. We took things slowly. He was respectful, kind, and clear about boundaries. He was as outraged as I was about how my family behaved and supported my decision to cut ties. You don't owe toxic people your energy just because you're related, he told me one night on my porch while we watched the sunset with Mochi at our feet. A year after the Hawaii incident, I ran into Dad at a grocery store. He looked older and tired, sorting through coupons. "Clara," he said quietly, "you look good, healthy." "I am healthy," I replied, "and happy." "I'm glad," he said. "I know we messed up. I know we failed you when you needed us. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know I understand what we lost." It was the first sincere apology I'd ever heard from any of them. "Thank you," I replied, "but knowing what you lost doesn't undo the damage." He nodded sadly. "I know. I just hope one day you might give us a chance to show Eve." "Maybe one day," I said honestly, though I doubted it. Right now, I'm focused on the family I'm building with people who truly care. As I walked away, I felt something unexpected. Pity. Not regret, not remorse. Just sympathy for people who valued appearances and money over love and loyalty. 2 years later, Tom and I were married in a small ceremony surrounded by the people who had stood by me. Friends, co-workers, neighbors, and college friends who had visited me in the hospital when my own family didn't. Bella tried to crash the wedding. The restraining order had expired, and she'd been monitoring my social media. Security removed her before she caused a problem, but not before she shouted, "She's not even sick, she's just an attention seeker." The irony was clear to everyone. A woman who had built her identity around social media attention, calling someone else dramatic. Carol, my new mother-in-law, hugged me afterward. "Honey, I don't know what your sister's issue is, but Tom's family is your family now. We won't let anyone treat you that way." I finally cried, not from sadness, but from relief. I had spent years trying to earn affection from people incapable of offering it. Now, I was surrounded by people who gave it freely. 6 months ago, the story closed its final chapter. I received a call from a number I didn't recognize and answered, thinking it was work. "Clara, it's your cousin Sebastian," he said. "I hope you don't mind. I got your number from Luna. I thought you should know. Your mom is telling everyone you abandoned your family when they needed you most. She's saying you got a little sick and cut them off to punish them for not visiting immediately. A little sick, I repeated. Is that really what she's saying? But Clara, he added, not everyone believes her. Some of us remember the Hawaii photos while you were in the ICU. Some of us think you did exactly what you needed to do. Thank you for telling me, I said. There's more, he continued. They're not doing well. Bello works at a retail store and lives in a studio. Your parents are renting a room from someone. Your mom keeps asking relatives for money using the same story, but no one is giving her anything. People remember what happened. After I hung up, I thought about it. Part of me felt validated, but mostly I felt nothing. They were strangers now, people I used to know, who made their choices and were living with the consequences. I never reached out again. I didn't forgive them. I didn't try to repair anything. Some might call that harsh. I call it self-preservation. Because while I nearly died alone as my family vacationed, I learned something important. Some people value you only for what you can give. When you stop giving, their true character becomes obvious. I learned that setting boundaries isn't cruel, it's necessary. That biological ties don't automatically create family. And removing toxic people from your life, relatives included, can be the healthiest decision you'll ever make. Most importantly, I learned I deserved better. I deserved people who would show up in a crisis, not mock me for almost dying. Today, at 29, I'm married to a man who truly loves me. I have a career I enjoy, a home I adore, and a dog who greets me like I'm his whole world. I have friends who check on me, celebrate my wins, and support my goals without expecting anything in return. My mother-in-law calls me her daughter, and she means it. I have a chosen family who would drop everything if I needed them. Sometimes, sitting on my veranda with Tom and Mochi as the city lights glow below, I remember that scared girl in the ICU. I remember how she saved those awful texts and made the decision that changed everything. I smile because she finally chose herself. And here's the truth about revenge. The best kind isn't about hurting anyone. It's about building a life so fulfilling that their absence becomes a blessing, not a loss. My family assumed losing me wouldn't matter and that I'd eventually return with my checkbook. Instead, they lost the best thing that ever happened to them, and I gained the life I always wanted, one I was too busy taking care of them to even imagine before. That's a trade I would make every single time.